Instant match reaction. We are back with this camera angle and this form of instant match reaction. Newcastle won, Everton won at St James's Park this evening. Not the result I expected. The performance I expected, but not the result I expected. Look, ultimately, results are paramount at the moment, and they always have been, and obviously, even though we're now in our worst run of form in over 30 years, no win in 13 games, which is an absolute disaster, and I still think the manager has got a lot to answer for, and I think the manager's got a lot to answer for today. At least we've came away with a point. Again, it's very difficult doing reactions after games like that, because I'm trying so hard to not be negative, and I'm trying so hard to not, just be ranting and raving and this, because we ultimately got a point, and a point away from home at Newcastle is massive. It does mean that Saturday is a must win, but we knew that anyway, and I don't want anybody telling me in the comments it's not a must win, it's not a must win. It's a must win, just like the game against West Ham was, and just like the other games that I said were must wins. We haven't won a game in 4 months. It's an absolute must win on Saturday. But if you would have said to me at 6 o'clock this evening, if you'd have said to me at 5 o'clock this evening, Cam, would you take a point tonight at St James's Park, I would have absolutely snatched your hand off for it. The performance wasn't very good, was it? Let's be honest. For the majority of the game, I think up until Chimiti came on, and obviously Gomez come on as well, and Dom, I think up until that point, we were as bad as we've been at any point over the course of the last few months. I think once again the players were running around, didn't seem like they knew what they needed to do, didn't seem like they knew what were being asked to do. It almost seemed like they were freestyling. It almost seemed like they were just there to run around for 90 minutes without any real plan or any real tactic or any real way of trying to win the game. And once again, Sean Dyche's tactic of, keep a strong, tough defensive back line and don't concede any silly goals. Once again, it hasn't worked. Within 10 minutes in the game, 15 minutes in the game, we're 1-0 down. And from that point on, I never really felt like we were going to get anything out of it. And I know some people will be very sort of pro Sean Dyche tonight and will be very complimentary towards the manager. I just can't be. I really don't think the fact that we've got a point out of that game is on the manager whatsoever. Okay, he brings Dominic Calvert-Lewin on, and Dom ultimately scores the penalty. But I don't think it was a masterstroke substitution from the manager, was it? He changed one striker for the other one because Beto, he was all right. He was putting himself about, but he wasn't really offering much, was he, in terms of going forward? And yeah, again, difficult, because I don't want to be negative. I don't want to sit here and moan and rant and this, that and the other, but ultimately we were terrible again. We really, really were terrible again, and I'm not quite sure how we've come away with a win there. I think Newcastle will feel like they should have been absolutely home and away, in that game with 10, 15 minutes to go. They had numerous chances. They obviously had one that went in the back of the net that was marginally offside, which is incredibly lucky, because had it have not been, it would have been absolutely woeful defending. Well, it was woeful defending. They had a couple of other chances. They had one off the line. Mikalenko headed one off the line. And other than one James Garner opportunity that we had that, hit the post, we didn't really have anything else. And then obviously, the penalty, which is a penalty all day. Even VAR and the PGMOL couldn't have hidden that one. It was an absolute penalty all day. And I suppose the two biggest positives to take from this game for me are, A, we've gotten a point, which is huge at this stage in the season, especially away at a team like Newcastle. And it does alleviate some of the pressure on Saturday's game against Burnley. Not lots of it, because we still haven't won in 13 games. Ultimately, we can sit here today and say it was a decent point, not a bad point away from home. That Sean Dyche has now got a worse record than any Everton manager in the previous 30 years. I think you've got to go back to the 50s or something like that to find an Everton manager that's gone winless in 13 games, which is just simply unacceptable. Another huge positive I would take is, I think that goal will do Dom the world of good. I know it was only a penalty, and I know, the keeper got a touch on it. I mean, thank God that I was behind and my phone was ahead, and my phone told me that the goal had went in before it actually went in, because I'm not quite sure I'd have been able to keep me cool when I seen it hit the goalkeeper. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, it's gone in the back of the net, and ultimately that's all that matters. And I'm sure that's all that matters to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And when you're low on confidence and no goal in 16 Premier League appearances or whatever it is, and no goal in 23 appearances altogether, then, you know, a penalty like that, it doesn't really matter how it goes in, as long as it goes in the back of the net and you can sort of wipe that bad record away and start fresh. That will do him the absolute world of good, and hopefully we now see Dom a little bit more confident in front of goal. He had a couple of moments when he come on, Dom, and I thought he looked a little bit shaky, I thought he looked a little bit anxious, I thought he looked a little bit uncomfortable, but hopefully that penalty will have given him a huge boost, and hopefully we now see a much better Dominic Calvert-Lewin performance on Saturday. But yeah, other than that, like I said, I don't think we got something out of that game because of the manager, to be honest with you. I think we were flat for the majority of the game. I thought we looked void of ideas. I thought we looked void of any real plan. The tactic, again, seemed to be the same as it is every other week from the manager. Lump it up to Beto or lump it up to Dom and hope that something can happen. And once again today, we've not really created anything from open play. Don't get me wrong, I'd absolutely take the point, and I appreciate that. That's a huge positive. And I know some people will say, "Cam, stop moaning, you know, just take the point." But it'd be a pretty boring instant match reaction if I come on here and said, "We've got a point, that'll do, see you later," wouldn't it? And as I said, you know, as much as people mightn't like this and as much as people might disagree with me, unfortunately, I just don't think that was on the manager today. I don't think the reason we got a point was on the manager. I thought the manager once again set us up horrendously. I thought for the majority of the game we were horrendous. We grew into it as it went on, but I don't think Newcastle ever really got out of first gear either. And it was obviously a Newcastle team filled with injury. So, yeah, I'll be honest, I'm still not best pleased with DYCHE. I'm still not best pleased with the system. I've seen a brilliant tweet at half-time which said plan B is just plan A, but with Beto. And that's exactly what it feels like. You know, we made a couple of changes, Mikalenko in there, Garner Gay in there, which I thought was a good decision, I'll be honest, because I think Garner offers you a lot more. I think he's a lot better game management-wise than James Garner. I think James Garner's a nice, tidy footballer, but I'm not quite sure he's what we need at the moment in this sort of position and situation that we're in. But again, the system, the tactic, the idea was still the same. It's different players, but the same idea. And that idea in this day and age just does not work. You cannot just lump it forward to a centre forward and hope that, you know, he'll take the ball down and he'll take 2 or 3 or 4 players on and score a worldie. It just doesn't happen in this day and age anymore. And Sean Dyche needs to understand that. I said on our podcast earlier today, Sean Dyche doesn't realise how lucky he is, because really and truly, if Everton were even slightly in a slightly better position than what we are now financially, and, you know, with the running of the football club, Sean Dyche wouldn't be in a job. He wouldn't be in a job. And even though we've gotten a point tonight, and even though that's a very, very good point away from home, it's not because Sean Dyche has pulled out a masterstroke. It's not because Sean Dyche has gone 5 at the back and everything is, you know, everything has changed and we've worked hard and we've earned that point. We're very lucky to get a point today. Newcastle could have been 2 or 3-0 up on, you know, on the 70th minute. If they've gone a different way, we mightn't have got the penalty on another occasion. Dom mightn't have stepped up and scored it. I don't think it was on the manager that we got something today. I think it was on the players ultimately that dug deep, and fair play to Dom for stepping up, having the bollocks to step up and rifling his foot through the penalty, which is exactly what needed to happen. But I share the same concerns tonight as I did on Saturday about the manager. It's the same system, it's the same thing week in, week out, the same system, the same tactic, and it's not working. And it didn't work today. It didn't work today. We got a point, great, fantastic. And I think his substitutions were a little bit better today. I think bringing Schmidt on with 10 minutes to go, okay, he didn't do an awful lot, but that's a positive sign for me. But again, it still seems to be the same plan, and doesn't work. We got fortunate today that Paul Dummit made an absolutely ridiculous challenge in the box, and fair play to Ashley Young for getting in the referee's face. Look what happens when you get in the referee's face. Look what happens when you feel like you've been fouled and you go over to the referee and you make your point. Oh, look, the game stops. It gets checked by the monitor. The referee goes over. We get a penalty. I am convinced if Dominic Calvert-Lewin had done what Ashley Young did today on Saturday, we'd have got that penalty against Bournemouth. Absolutely convinced. So fair play to Ashley Young for getting in the face and for forcing the officials to look at that situation and then give the penalty, which was the right decision. But I think DYCHE's got out of trouble hugely today with that goal, hugely today. Because had we have lost, we'd be sitting here saying the same thing, same story. It felt like watching the exact same game as Bournemouth, an unmotivated group of players that for the majority of the game looked like they'd completely lost the manager, and the manager had completely lost them, waltzing round, no real idea, no real plan, no real execution, and no change by the manager. No, okay, substitutions come on, we looked a little bit better. Fair play, and obviously Dom's come on and rifled his foot through the ball and scored the penalty. But yeah, big game on Saturday. Now huge game on Saturday. You know, I think if we win on Saturday, I don't think the performance will be looked at tonight as maybe critically as what it will be before Saturday's game. And ultimately, look, as I said at the start of the video, results are paramount. And a point today is a decent point. We'd have taken it all day. And if we go and get 3 points on Saturday, then that's 4 out the last 2, and that's huge. But this system, this style, this way of playing by the manager is not sustainable. And we've seen it not work for the last 4 months, and we've lost games. Today, we were fortunate to, get a penalty and ultimately get a point out of it. Still doesn't mean the system worked. Still doesn't mean the manager was right. Still doesn't mean the manager got it tactically spot on, because he didn't. He got it wrong again, in my opinion. And changes still need to be made ahead of the upcoming games, because, yeah, that performance as a whole, wasn't good enough. Result, sound. Performance, not good enough. And if we lose on Saturday to Burnley, it'll be bad, and it will be very, very toxic. So anyway, let's take the positives. Point is a point. You take that all day. Brilliant for Dom. Made up for him. Hopefully that gives him a boost of confidence. Let's use that now. Let's use the fact that we equalised late, even though we weren't great, and let's go and take it to Saturday, and let's go and beat Burnley, because that is absolutely paramount now. So there you go. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you after.